First, we will download Unity. So go on Google and type download Unity and open this first page that you see. It will take you here on this page, and then just click on this choose your Unity plus download and choose this personal edition here and go here and just click on this free download and then download the installer basically, and that's that. Just save it, and basically when you download it, just open it. It will download and install Unity for you, just as you install, well, any other regular program. And when you install Unity, then we can continue. Now that you have installed Unity, simply click on it to open it. And when you open Unity for the first time, you will see this interface here, and here you will see the projects that you have worked on. In your case, you will probably see nothing, but in my case, I have already worked on some of my projects. And how do we create a new project? Well, simply click here on New Project, and here it will, well, tell us, do we want a 2D or 3D project? Our project is a 2D, and we will name it, so let's say just New Unity Project, and we will click here, well, Create Project, and now it will open the Unity interface for us. Now let us explore the interface a little bit. Here we have a scene, and in our scene we are going to place all of our game objects that are going to be in our game. So our player, our balls, collectibles items, so on and so forth. Here we have a game view, and in the game view we will see how our game will look like on different devices. So we can click here and we can choose a resolution or an aspect ratio, or we can even add our own resolution, and here we can even label it so we can name it. And let's say we want to, well, look how our game looks like on 1920, let's say by 1400 resolution. That is width and height, and we can, well, simply click that here and press enter, and now we can see how our game looks like on that particular resolution. We also have other views under window here, and we can select them and we can basically choose them, but we're going to use only two from these here, and that is our animation, which is basically here, and our animator. And in our animation we will animate our game objects, and in our animator we can see those animations, and we can manipulate them, which we will see a little bit later when we import our project. Here we have the hierarchy panel, and here we will see all of the game objects that are currently in our scene. For the moment we only have our main camera, and we will inspect our camera a little bit later. And here we have our assets, that is our project, and here we will see all of the assets that we import. So our sprites, our, well, audio, our video files, our text files, everything we will see here, and we can arrange them here. And we can also create files, so we can just right click and then create. And here, for example, I can create a new folder, and let's say I will name it scenes, and in this folder we will save our scenes basically. Here we have the inspector panel, and here we will see the attributes of our game objects. So let's say, for example, I go here under game object and create an empty game object. And when we select that game object, we see that it has its attributes here in the inspector panel. For the moment, our game object has only the transform, and we will see a little bit later what this transform is. But basically here we can inspect that game object and see the script that is attached to our game object, and see all other components such as rigid body, animations, or animators, well, colliders, so on and so forth, which we will see a little bit later in the course. Now let us take a look at our main camera in the scene. And each time we create a new scene, and we create a new scene by clicking on File and then New Scene. And by the way, when we want to save our scene, we will simply go here under File and then Save Scene, and we will save it here in our scenes, and we can name it. So let's say first scene, so it will be first scene like this, and we save this scene. Now each time we create a new scene, we will have a main camera inside of that scene. And here in the inspector panel, we see some of the properties that our camera has. Now, the most important properties for us are these projection and size. So make sure that the projection is orthographic because we are creating a 2D game, and the size we will use is 5. And when we resize it, we see that the camera resizes basically. And this will determine how much our camera will basically see from our game. Now, I will not go into too much detail regarding cameras. As I said, these two, well, properties are the main for us, and make sure you set it orthographic for the projection, and size will be 5. Moving forward, we will see how can we change our project to an Android project. So we will go here under File and then Build Settings, and we see that our project is currently for PC, Mac, and Linux. And if we want it to be for Android, we will simply click it here and simply click on this Switch Platform, and this will switch platforms, and now our project is basically set up for Android. And the same way, we can basically change it for iOS, for PC, so on and so forth. Now, one important thing regarding Android is that we need to download Android SDK. And we need to go here in our browser and simply type on Google download Android SDK and open this first page, and it will take you here. And if you scroll down, so at the end, here you can basically download the SDK. And when you download that SDK, go back into Unity and go under Preferences. So here, Unity, Preferences, and then External Tools. And on Windows, I believe it's under Windows and then Preferences and External Tools. And after that, simply locate Android SDK. So click here and locate the SDK where you have saved it. So again, we see here Android SDK location. Click here and locate Android SDK where you have saved it. And this is really important because we will not be able to compile or run our Android, games if we don't do this. Now we can right click here in our project panel and we will create a new script, and it will be a C# script because we are going to use C# during our course. C# is not only the best supported language by Unity, it is also a well-known and respected language in the programming industry. So the skills that you obtain in this course regarding that programming side will not only benefit you in your game development, but it will also benefit you if you want to create any other application in C# language, because the skills and the problem solving strategies that you're going to learn are going to be very useful. So here we will name it. So let's say script example and just double click it so MonoDevelop will open it now. I will not write or execute any lines of code because in the next lectures, we're going to start with basic C# and move towards the most advanced features and see how can we solve complicated problems. And here, if I select my game object, I can drag the script on it or here and attach it to that game object. And when we press run here, that's how we execute our script, which we will see a little bit later. Now, before we wrap this video up, one important thing that I want to tell you is that I will not waste time on constant testing of our game on a real device during our course. And for that, I will teach you how can you do it yourself. So first, you will just connect your computer with your device with a USB cable. And after that, you will go under Settings on your mobile device and scroll down until you see Developer Options. Go there and then simply find USB debugging and click that checkbox. And that's that basically. And then you can go here under File, Build Settings, and you need to add the scene in the build. So now we are in the first scene here, and each scene you want to add, you first need to save it as we did before. And when you're in that scene, simply click here Add Current, and it will add the scene. And the scene that has here the 0, number, it will be the first scene that's going to be opened when you open that game on your device. And after that, simply click Build and Run, and this will build and run your game on your device. And you can also take a look at the lecture, I believe it's in chapter 5, that will teach you how can you test your game using Unity Remote. So go and check that out, and you will also see how can you test, the game on that way. And now let us begin, with our scripting.